Hello, my name is John Rose, and in this video I'd like to take a closer look at Leonardo DiCaprio's film Before the Flood. Now, in order to understand man-made global warming, we have to understand the Hegelian problem, reaction, solution. And if you don't know what the Hegelian problem, reaction, solution is, then there's a really good chance you're not going to be able to understand what man-made global warming is all about. I did a video a while back on the Hegelian problem, reaction, solution. I'll put that link down below in the description box. In fact, I highly recommend for those who don't know what that is to go watch that video first. And I'm going to put some more related videos in the description box, because this will tie into a lot of other videos I've already done. For example, this will tie into my video on feudalism, because that's what we have now. It's a form of neo-feudalism. We have to understand what mercantilism is all about. We have to understand what collectivism is all about, and secular humanism. And I've done videos on that also, and I'll put links down below. We have to understand what H.L. Mencken meant when he said the urge to save humanity is really an urge to rule it. We have to understand that the long-term plan to control this planet is disguised as a spontaneous grassroots movement. We have to understand how the people who rule the world operate in order to understand what's being done to us, and how many times we get tricked into doing things because we care about the environment, we care about people's rights, and they trick us into these causes not realizing what they're really doing, because this is really all about control and money. You see, the power to tax is the power to control and to destroy. So when we look at the Hegelian problem, reaction, solution, this is how the rulers of the world work. They create a problem, knowing that we're going to respond and react in a certain way, which is always fear. We're very predictable. And then, of course, they're going to offer us their solution. So when it comes to man-made global warming, what we have now is not just any old problem, it's a global problem that's going to require a global solution. Remember, there's a long-term plan to control the world. And it's all about keeping us poor, so that we don't have time to realize that there's a common enemy out there. And now too many of us are going to argue about whether or not global warming is within our control or not. And again, you have to understand that the people who rule the world are psychopaths. They're con artists, they're magicians, they're masters of illusion, they're masters of misdirection. They've misdirected all of our so-called experts so that we think all of these problems that are lifestyle related and are 100% within our control are outside our control. And I labeled those problems in my special teaching tool as pieces 103 and 104. Remember, there's 3 stages of knowledge: on the right path and on the wrong path. And the 3rd stage of knowledge, on the wrong path, is where I have pieces 103 and 104. 103 are those problems that are 100% within our control. 104 are those problems that are not 100% within our control. And we've been duped into believing that most of those 103s, most of our illnesses and ill behaviors, heart disease and cancer and diabetes, all those things are outside our control, and that's not true. Likewise, now we're being tricked into believing that acts of nature are outside of control. What we have to understand is that the climate is controlled by the clouds, and the clouds are controlled by the cosmic rays, and the cosmic rays are controlled by the sun. Now, I am in no way discounting how important the environment is. I've mentioned many times that's one of the most important pieces of the puzzle. It's our external metabolism. We are living systems and we need an environment to sustain us, so we don't want to pollute the environment. So when we look at this whole issue of environmentalism, we have to understand that we don't want to be tricked into looking at a nutrient like carbon dioxide as the problem. No, it's the chemicals, it's the pollution. We got to stop polluting the environment. We have to stop doing that. But the solution isn't to blame it on carbon dioxide, because now they can tax cows and people and everybody. Don't you see? The power to tax is the power to control. It's all about problem, reaction, solution. Create the global problem, create the global solution. Carbon taxes. It's a way to keep us poor, to take money away from us. The power to tax is the power to control. Man-made global warming has nothing to do with the weather. It has everything to do with controlling us and keeping us poor. And as I've mentioned many times, there are two things we have to do. We got to go upstream and get reconnected, but we got to go downstream and deal with the damage that's been done, not just to ourselves, but to the environment and society. And this is where money plays a really big role. Money is that absolute tool of control that's being used to control all these other things, like the government and the media and the educational system. But remember, these are all subsequent needs from being disconnected. So the ultimate solution for the government controlling us, the ultimate solution for money being used to control us, and everything else has to do with getting reconnected. Because there are 10 subsequent needs, 6 of which can be used against us, that are all symptoms from being disconnected. That's why when you look at all of our problems, you realize how important it is to correct the fall of mankind. Get reconnected. Stop making that one mistake. When we do that, that will change our mentality. And then we'll stop using fossil fuels for energy. Now that's another one of my videos you want to check out. I did a video on 2 energy mistakes and 2 plumbing mistakes. The 2 energy mistakes, we're eating the wrong fuel, but then we're using the wrong fuel. We should have free energy for everybody. This should not even be an issue. You see how we're being tricked? We're trying to solve the problem and we're getting government involved in it. Governments don't solve problems, they subsidize problems. They're part of the problem because they're a subsequent need. The ultimate solution for this situation is anarchy. But anarchy can't work in a sick world, just like collectivism can't work in a sick world. But when we get healthy, we have collectivism and we have anarchy, meaning we don't need leaders. Anarchy doesn't mean chaos, it means without leaders. We only need leaders because we're disconnected, we're sick. And if we got reconnected, it would change our mentality. We wouldn't have an exchange mentality. We wouldn't have this subsequent need for money that's now being used to control us. 2 things we got to do. Go upstream, get reconnected. Stop cooking your food. Second step, work downstream. The first thing we do downstream is take back control over the money. Remember what John Adams said. There's 2 ways to conquer a nation. One is by the sword and the other is by debt. And we are debt slaves right now. Money is the tool that's used to control us. And taxing people to death is the way to keep us poor. Remember, the people who rule the world, they fear upper middle class children. That's why last century 262 million people were murdered by government during peacetime. Google democide and you can see that 262 million people were murdered last century during peacetime by the governments because the people who rule the world fear people who have money and their children don't have to worry about working and they can think. That's what this is all about. The power to tax, the power to control, keep us poor. It isn't about someone making more money, it's making sure that we don't have any money. So this is all about money. When things don't make sense, follow the money. Do what Foster Gamble did. If you watch the Thrive document, he said, look, we investigated 12 major sectors of human endeavor. Now how can you do that? How can you investigate medicine without knowing anything about medicine? How can you investigate economics without knowing anything about money? How can you investigate all these 12 major sectors of human endeavor if you don't have that expertise? Well, you don't have to have the expertise, just follow the money. And when you do that, you find there's a small group of people who own and control everything. And it's not about them making the money, it's just making sure we don't have it. That's why we can't trust our own belief system. That's why we have to question everything. That's why they lied to us about what happened last century with Germany and Japan. They proved to the world that we live on an abundant planet. And what happened? They were destroyed. And lies are made up, just like the same lie you hear DiCaprio say, that 97% of the scientists have consensus. That's bullshit. That's a lie that's repeated so many times, people believe it. The same way we believe in other things that aren't true. Our brains have been bombarded with bullshit so much that we're literally become brain dead on many topics. Because we have so many references that make us think, oh, I heard it over and over, 97% consensus, oh my God, we're destroying the environment. Yeah, we are destroying the environment, but it isn't the carbon dioxide. That's a nutrient. We need carbon dioxide. Plants need carbon dioxide. They did a study not too long ago where carbon dioxide increased 14%. Guess what happened? Plant life increased 11%. It isn't the carbon dioxide, it's the other crap that's in there. And when you watch these stupid movies that they show the coal stacks venting off steam, and they act like it's pollution. That's another trick. And again, we don't want to burn coal, we don't want to burn oil, we don't want to do any of those things for energy. I explained that in my video on the 2 energy mistakes. We should all have free energy and it shouldn't cost us anything. We got the raw mentality, we're sick as a species, and as long as we are sick, our collective shadow is going to keep us where we are. So there's only one solution to overcome this opponent, and that is to realize they are a reflection of us. And if we can change collectively, the whole collective will change, and we won't have the situation we have right now. Once again, we got to go upstream, we got to get reconnected, we got to stop cooking our food, and that's such a hard thing to do for most of us. What's the solution? It's simple. Solid Food Vacation. Go down below and check out the seminar I gave on doing the first of my 3-step process. And when you do this, my friends, I guarantee you're in for a treat.